A family vanished without leaving behind a single clue, and for 66 years no one knew what happened to them. Then, in a shocking twist, they were finally found. Before we uncover this mystery, if you're new here, this is True Crime Recaps, where we cover all the crime in half the time. I'm Kamar. Let's recap.
On an unseasonably warm December afternoon, a family of 5 leaves their home in Portland, Oregon to go get a Christmas tree. And they never come back. No wreckage is found, no bodies turn up, they just vanish, leaving only a handful of clues and a mystery that would haunt Oregon for generations. So, let's go back to that day, December 7th, 1958. Ken and Barbara Martin load up their 3 daughters, Barbara, Virginia, and Sue, into their red and white Ford station wagon. The plan? Drive into the mountains, cut down some Christmas greenery, head home. A simple road trip to get into the holiday spirit. And that's what makes what happens next so unsettling, because nothing about this day should have gone wrong. This wasn't some troubled family, this was the Christmas crew from Candy Lane. That's what their street was known as, because Ken Martin, this big, cheerful Santa suit wearing guy, literally made giant candy canes for the neighborhood. He dressed as Santa every Christmas, visited kids, really threw himself into it. This was a happy family, the kind of people you assume bad things don't happen to. Around 1 p.m., neighbors see the Martins pile into their station wagon and drive off. Nothing unusual, just a family heading out for a peaceful Sunday. At some point that afternoon, they make it into the woods, cutting greenery, doing exactly what they told everyone they were going to do. Everything is still tracking as completely normal. Then around 4 p.m., Ken uses his credit card to buy gas in a small town called Cascade Locks. It's a small city along the Columbia River, named for a series of navigation locks built in the late 1800s to help boats avoid the dangerous rapids that once made this stretch of river nearly impossible to cross. So now we have a timestamp, we know they're alive, we know where they are, and we know roughly where they're headed next, because instead of going home, they keep driving, about 20 miles further to the town of Hood River. There, they stop at a place called the Paradise Snack Bar, sit down, order burgers and fries, and a waitress later remembers them clearly, just a regular family having an early dinner sometime around 4:30, maybe 5. Nothing seems off, no arguments, no tension, no sign that anything is wrong. After they finish eating, multiple people see them get back into their car and drive away. By now, it's starting to get dark, but they're heading west, back toward Portland, back toward home. And that is the last confirmed moment anyone ever sees them alive. To get home, they would have had to go back through Cascade Locks. Now, Cascade Locks isn't just some random pass-through town. It has this spot called Cascade Locks Marine Park. And back in the 1950s, just like it is today, this place was a major roadside stop. Travelers pull over, stretch their legs, and take in the view of the Columbia River Gorge. But back then, this area looked very different than it does today. Those scenic pull-offs, they weren't protected. No guardrails, no barriers, nothing. Just open space, loose gravel, and a straight drop into the river. So if a car rolled too far or backed up just a little too much, there was nothing there to stop it. No second chance, no correction, just air, and then the Columbia River. At first, investigators think that's what happened to the Martins. They believe Kenneth Martin may have been trying to turn the car around or back up in the dark and simply misjudged the distance. The tires slip, the car rolls, and just like that, the entire family plunges into the river. And at first, there's something that seems to support that, because within days of the disappearance, investigators find tire tracks near one of those overlooks, tracks that suggest a vehicle had gone too far. So now this isn't just a theory, it looks like evidence. It's tragic, but it makes sense, at least on paper. So divers are sent in, they search the river, sweep the area where the car should be, and they find nothing. No station wagon, no wreckage. So the accident theory starts to fall apart, because if that's what happened, then where's the car? So right as investigators are starting to realize this might be something else entirely, a couple comes forward. And what they say they saw that night points to something far more sinister. They tell investigators that around dusk, they were driving through Cascade Locks near a place called the Bridge of the Gods. Now, this bridge is hard to miss. It's a massive steel structure, a toll bridge that stretches across the Columbia River, and underneath it, the couple says they saw something, a station wagon, parked. And not just parked, but surrounded.
According to witnesses, two unidentified men were seen standing beside the vehicle, leaning through the windows and speaking with the occupants inside. The car reportedly matched the description of the Martins' vehicle. This new detail completely changed the picture. Instead of a family stranded alone on a deserted roadside, there were now two unknown individuals interacting with them in a remote area as daylight faded. As a result, investigators began considering a troubling possibility. What if this wasn't simply an accident at all?
They begin digging into who those men could have been, and eventually their attention lands on two ex-convicts. Why? Because those same two men had been seen earlier that evening at the Paradise Snack Bar, the exact same place the Martins had stopped for dinner. And according to the restaurant owner, the timing is uncomfortable. The men leave shortly after the Martins, and more importantly, they head in the same direction, west, toward Cascade Locks. At this point, the idea of a simple accident is starting to feel a lot less certain. And then, just when the case couldn't get any stranger, it does, because in February of 1959, a volunteer searcher makes another discovery. Not near Cascade Locks, not along the Martins' known route home, but about 20 miles east near a remote bluff outside a town called the Dalles. And what they find out there is hard to ignore. It's another set of tire tracks leading straight off the edge of a cliff, down into the river about 100 feet below, and on the rocks near the edge, investigators find small flakes of paint, cream-colored. They send them to the FBI, and when the results come back, it's a match. Same color as the Martin family's station wagon. But here's the problem. This location is nowhere near where they were supposed to be. It's not on the route home, which raises a much darker possibility. How did the Martins end up there? Some investigators start to believe they were intercepted. Those two ex-convicts, the ones seen at the restaurant, the ones possibly spotted near the bridge, followed them, stopped them, forced them to keep driving all the way out to this remote bluff. And then, after doing God knows what to the family, they pushed the car over the edge to make it look like an accident. This theory starts to gain traction, especially after investigators find something else. A gun inside a stolen car, abandoned near Cascade Locks. A gun reportedly covered in dried blood. So now this theory is really taking shape. Two crime scenes miles apart, starting at one, then ending at the other. And when they trace the gun, it all seems to click into place. It came from a sporting goods store in Portland. That store used to employ the Martin family's oldest son, Donald, and at one point, he'd been suspected of stealing that exact gun. Now, when his family disappears, Donald is 28, a Navy veteran living in New York, going to graduate school. He's been estranged from his family for a while now, so he doesn't come back to help search for them. And police notice. They also pay attention to the fact that, on paper at least, he has motive, because as the only surviving member of the family, he stands to inherit everything. But here's the problem. There's no proof, no witnesses, no evidence placing him anywhere near Oregon that day. Just suspicion. Then 5 months later, the river gives something back. A body surfaces about 30 miles downstream from Cascade Locks. It's 11-year-old Sue. And then, the very next day, her sister, 13-year-old Virginia, is found further upstream. Both girls died by drowning, but there's something else.
Virginia had a mysterious hole in her skull, and investigators couldn't determine its cause. Was it a gunshot wound, an injury from a violent impact, or simply damage caused by years in the river? No one could say for certain. Then detectives discovered an even more disturbing clue. Analysis of the girls' stomach contents revealed they had recently eaten burgers and fries. Based on the digestion process, investigators estimated they died within about 2 hours of eating at a restaurant in Hood River. That meant whatever happened to them occurred very soon after they left. Meanwhile, their parents and older sister, Barbara, remained completely unaccounted for.
As time passes, the theories pile up. accident, murder, carjacking, family conspiracy, but there's not enough evidence to prove any theory is the right one beyond a shadow of a doubt. So the years turn into decades, and the Martin family disappearance becomes one of Oregon's most haunting unsolved cases. Then in 2024, everything changes. A diver named Archer Mayo is searching the Columbia River near Cascade Locks Marine Park, and in a section of the river known as the Pit, he finds something buried deep underwater. A car, upside down, almost completely swallowed by sediment. Now, this pit isn't just random, it's actually a man-made feature created back in the late 1800s when the original navigation locks were built. Basically, it's a deep catch basin, and because of where it sits, just downstream from that Cascade Locks Marine Park area where they found the first set of tire tracks, anything heavy that went into the water nearby would naturally sink right into it, like a trap. It's much deeper than the rest of the river in the area. It goes down 60 feet, which means the limited technology and equipment back in 1958 meant divers couldn't find the car. Now, this wasn't some random discovery. Archer Mayo had been looking for this car for 7 years. He's an independent diver from White Salmon, Washington, across the river from Hood River, Oregon. And back in 2018, he became fascinated with the Martin family case, and he paid close attention to where the daughters' bodies were found back in 1959. Most people thought the Martins ended up 20 miles east near the Dalles, where the second set of tire tracks and the paint chips were found. But Archer believed the car had to be much closer to Cascade Locks, so he digs up old construction photos from the 1800s and finds this hidden feature in the river, the pit. But it's a large, deep area, and he had to do better than guess at their location. So he starts running simulations, using rice for sediment and a paper car, trying to figure out how floods over the decades, especially a massive one in 1996, could have shifted, buried, and hidden a vehicle in that exact spot. And he puts in the work. Hundreds of dives, 7 years, all on his own time, his own equipment, until one day, the water clears just enough and he sees it. A single tire tread sticking out of the riverbed. After nearly 70 years, someone had finally found the Martins. In 2025, they bring most of what's left of the car up, but it's not easy. After decades underwater, it's basically fused into the riverbed. But Archer also found some personal effects, and one item stands out: a camera case marked with Kenneth Martin's name and full address. Then, buried in the sediment near the wreckage, they find something else: human remains. And in April 2026, it becomes official. Using DNA, the Oregon State Medical Examiner identifies them as Kenneth Martin, Barbara Martin, and their oldest daughter, Barbie. Sadly, Donald, their son, never got that answer. He died in 2004, still not knowing what happened to his parents and sister. So, what did happen to the Martin family? According to investigators, the most likely answer is this.
After dinner in Hood River, the Martin family likely began their journey home and stopped at a riverside pull-off near Cascade Locks. In the darkness, Kenneth may have accidentally reversed too close to the edge, sending the station wagon into the Columbia River. The vehicle is believed to have sunk into a deep pit, where decades of sediment buried it beneath the riverbed. Hidden from sonar and search teams, it remained undiscovered for 66 years. What began as a simple Christmas shopping trip ended in one of America's most enduring family mysteries.